Welcome to our first Masterclass tutorial. In this video, I'm going to be showing you step by step how to turn a low quality faceless meditation video.
Welcome to the meditation. Close your eyes and just allow yourself to begin to relax now.
Into a high value, transformative experience that your audience and the algorithm will love.
Welcome to the meditation. Close your eyes and just allow yourself to begin to relax now. Breathe in, centering your mind. Breathe out, centering your energy. Breathe in deeply and breathe out completely. Ground the center of your core to the center of the earth. That's right. And go deeper now.
By the end of this tutorial, you will have a ready to upload guided meditations with a voiceover, background music, visuals, and most importantly, a long-term monetization plan. And because this is the first of our series, I just want to reiterate what the intention for these tutorials are. And that is essentially to create high-value content, meaningful, transformative content in the wellness space, whether that's meditations, psychoeducational content, hypnosis, spiritual or self-improvement tools, or mindset motivation, whatever it is that you've chosen that's going to be solving a human pain point. For those of you who don't know me yet, my name is Natasha. I am a nurse and a digital entrepreneur who has been a ghostwriter and created content in this space for many years. So I'm basically going to be showing you my entire process of creating guided meditations, only this time I'm going to be showing you how to use AI, or how I leverage AI to help me create the content. And I'm not going to be showing you how to make AI slop. This tutorial is sort of a resistance or pushback against AI slop, especially in the health and wellness space. But what I am going to be showing you is how to use AI as a co-creator or an assistant. So this process actually used to take me days to complete, even for just one meditation. And I had to keep raising my prices just to keep up with the demand. And just keep in mind that I learned how to do this all without AI being there. So I do think I really understand and am well versed in the fundamentals of creating meditations, at least high quality ones. And just a quick word about AI before we begin. We are now in the age of AI, the digital renaissance. And let's face it, it's because of AI that we are able as individuals to become solo entrepreneurs. That financial barrier that would have required us to spend thousands of dollars creating a team to help us create this content has now been blown out of the water. And now anyone with an internet connection, with a deep interest or passion for solving a specific human need has the equal opportunity and ability to turn their ideas and their passions into income. And so throughout these tutorials, I'm going to show you all the AI tools that I'm still learning and have already used that help me go from idea to income 1,000 times faster than it would have just 5 years ago. And if you haven't watched this video here, where I talk about the importance of using AI correctly in order to avoid the AI purge, the AI slop purge that's happening on YouTube. You might want to check that out first before investing in this tutorial, because this tutorial and the tutorials moving forward on this channel are really for those creators who are passionate, or at the very least actually interested in creating authentic, high-value content in the wellness space. Those who aren't just interested in making mass-produced, repetitive, shallow content. All right, so in this tutorial, I will be sharing my 5-layer approach to creating transformative, high value content that you can then turn into digital products, marketing leads, and eventually passive income. We're going to be doing a little bit of concept and theory, and then we'll dive into the step-by-step walkthroughs that will teach you how to learn these AI tools. So I really tried to make this tutorial beginner friendly. So if you think that you're not tech savvy or you've never used any of these AI tools, you should still be able to do this as long as you are willing to learn and practice and create content. One of the best ways you can do that is by following along with your own projects as we go through these tutorials, and by not just watching this and then storing it as information for later. You can find all the prompts that I use in this tutorial in the guide that comes along with it, and you can download that for free. Link is in the description. Okay, let's dive into layer 1. So you know that you want to create content in the wellness space. You know that you want to help others and you want to build something meaningful, but maybe you're not quite sure which topic, niche, or theme to choose from yet, and that's completely okay. But instead of just guessing or copying what's already trending out there, let's say on YouTube, we're going to be using AI the right way at this stage. Before you choose a niche, it's really important to identify and clarify who you are and what pain point or what aspect of human suffering actually inspires you and moves you. A topic that you're willing to talk about for many years, because what we're building here is a sustainable business, not just content. Sustainable businesses and YouTube channels are built on building meaningful connections with your audience. They're not built on trends. Trends eventually die down. And if you rush this step, you might choose something that is profitable in the short term, but eventually it won't feel meaningful and you will burn out. So what we're going to do at this stage, if you have no idea what kind of content you want to create, we're going to use AI to help us build our team. The team that would have cost thousands of dollars to afford just less than 5 years ago. So your prompt is obviously going to look different from mine depending on what type of meditation you are building. But you're going to go into ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, whichever AI you choose to use, and you're going to ask it to act as a team composed of a clinical psychologist, spiritual practitioner, YouTube growth strategist, a brand and marketing expert, each of them having over 30 years of experience in their field. Help me identify recurring human struggles, suffering that I connect with. Ask me deep questions about the struggles I care about solving. Do not suggest niches yet. Help me discover what content I can create. Okay, for the benefit of those who don't have a subscription, I'm going to be using a free version of ChatGPT. So we're going to put our prompt in. And it's creating a roundtable of 4 experts of 30 years each. Okay, so it looks like each member of our team is going to be asking us some questions to help us identify what it is we're actually interested in creating content about. And what this prompt is going to ensure is that we have a focused expertise or advice that comes from the team we've designed. That's going to prevent the AI from jumping to shallow, generalized ideas that it just scraped off of the internet. So maybe on your team, you don't need a spiritual practitioner because your content has nothing to do with meditations or Vedic philosophy. Maybe you need a business coach like Tony Robbins on your team because you're trying to create content for, I don't know, life coaching or a marketing course. Again, the whole point of this layer or this step is to identify a clear pain point that you genuinely understand or that you want to learn about. And creating this specialized team instead of like a generic reference point, you're going to increase the depth, value, and quality of your content. And when your clients or your audience feel understood at the level of their suffering, they begin to trust you. And trust is ultimately what converts them into paying customers. And just to give you guys an idea on what it looks like to use a low effort prompt, let's see, give me wellness niche ideas for YouTube. Okay, so obviously it's going to group a bunch of different topics. And yeah, this can be a good first step just to see what's like out there, but there's really too much to choose from, and you can really spend a lot of time in analysis paralysis, right? When really you want to be focusing on how to minimize or limit the time between idea and execution. But the prompt that I'm sharing with you is just an example on how you can avoid too much back and forth and brainstorming and really hone in on what truly matters to you. What's going to keep you inspired and motivated enough to build content about these topics for the next 3 or more years. And if you still find yourself in analysis paralysis, check out the link in the description to free resources and download the Discovering Your Wellness Niche and Income Ecosystem tool that I created to help you further explore the type of content that you not only want to create, but that you really enjoy creating. And this is basically just a series of prompts that you can use to have that back and forth conversation with your AI team. So, in this tutorial, of course, I've already chosen to create content that addresses the pain point of financial insecurity, the sense of feeling grounded in reality, and the scarcity mindset. But I'm going to be doing that in the form of a guided chakra meditation, and that's going to be heavily fueled by a symbolic system. And this brings us to our second layer, choosing a symbolic system. Now, what is a symbolic system and why is it important? Well, our goal here is to solve a human pain point or human suffering like anxiety, depression, insomnia, financial insecurity, or the scarcity mindset. And all of that is very chaotic. It involves different beliefs, thought patterns, behaviors, and emotions. But a symbolic system is what gives the human mind a map, if you will. A map that helps them navigate through that chaos. So when you're creating content like a sleep meditation, a mindset course, maybe something that has to do with self-improvement, overcoming bad habits, or even something related to spiritual growth, you can't just tell your audience or your clients like, hey, get over it, or all is well and all will be good. We're really trying to avoid that fake new age woo-woo nonsense. It does have a place, but these days I do feel like the message is very watered down and it kind of becomes generic. So we want to give people a real framework that helps them process their thoughts, their beliefs, and their emotions. And this is really what's going to separate AI slop from high-value transformative content. Okay, and here is the prompt we are going to use. From the pain point we identified, what underlying psychological or emotional tension drives it? Suggest symbolic systems, psychological frameworks, or philosophical models that could help structure this tension into something navigable. For my meditation I'm creating, I've already chosen my symbolic system, and I've chosen to incorporate a blend of Eastern spirituality and Western psychology, specifically the chakra system and Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So I'm combining traditional concepts with modern psychology, and doing so really increases the value of the content because it speaks to both the logical mind and the spiritual self. And it happens to appeal to psychology nerds as well as the New Age crowd. So for example, in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the very bottom tier is representative of our most basic needs. That's food, shelter, financial security, and the feeling of physical safety. And in Eastern philosophy, a very comparable ideology is the chakra system, specifically the root chakra, which is said to be also the foundation of survival and, again, representing our most basic needs. So I actually learned about the true power of a symbolic system when I was working in the federal prison system as a mental health clinician. I had the opportunity to run a meditation program for an adult male inmate population. And as you can imagine, these guys weren't really naturally interested in like woo-woo, new age spirituality stuff. But before each meditation session, I would provide psychoeducation on the topics and concepts that we were incorporating into our meditation. And when we broke down the concept of being stuck in survival mode, always having to look over their shoulders, struggling with their most basic needs in a very hostile environment, not being able to provide for their loved ones on the outside, they expressed that they deeply connected to the symbolic system that represented their inner and outer environments. And I personally feel that they benefited from some of those tools that were learned within the meditation session that helps them navigate the difficulties of their environment, their current environment, or heading back into society and learning to stay grounded, and how to cope with situations that are just out of their control. So whether these inmates looked at themselves as being stuck at the bottom of Maslow's pyramid of needs, or whether they see themselves as having a severely blocked root chakra, they connected with that human experience at the end of the day. And that is the power of a symbolic system. And this way you're going to learn more about the pain point that you're trying to serve or solve or offer a solution to, and what the best symbolic systems are that you're going to integrate into your content or your brand. Just to give you guys a little bit more of an example or more context about this process, if I were to create this meditation, let's say 10 years ago, before AI became what it is now, and this is actually something I would do, this was my process, I would go to a library or a bookstore and I would start reading books about, in this case, Vedic philosophy, human psychology, self-improvement, literature about finance and business. Because honestly, I'm not an expert in any of these fields. Then I would take notes and use that inspiration to come up with ideas on how I could turn that into content, or how I could incorporate that into the meditation session. And honestly, this step is what truly makes high value, meaningful content. The human-centered, transformative approach. And nowadays, I still like to physically read the literature and write out my notes. I just find it works better for me to consolidate and absorb information. And it inspires me, it fuels me with the creativity and ideas that I can incorporate into my work. And, you know, sometimes I actually even like to sketch out my meditation sessions and work in the different concepts and frameworks that I build into the script writing. And now I can literally just take snaps of pages from the books or the literature I find with my phone, and I can even take pictures of my unorganized brainstorming notes, entire textbooks, PDFs, studies, and I can put them directly into AI or ask my AI team that I've built to help me write a cleaner outline, to help me come up with a clearer framework that I can then turn into a meditation script. And the reason why I'm harping on and on about this step is because I really do believe that if you skip this step, you are likely going to be producing AI slop, even if you didn't intend to. And like, hey, okay, maybe you can take a generic meditation script and transform it into a pretty decent quality meditation. But I really do not believe that it will last in the long run, especially with the crackdown on mass-produced, low-effort content. This brings us to layer 3, what I like to call the transformative juice of the entire meditation session. And naturally, we're going to be spending a little bit more time here. Layer 3 is all about that transformative spark, or the magic within the meditation that's going to be changing someone's life in a positive way. This is how we build trust and connection with our audience and our clients. And this is how we eventually grow our channel, our community, our business, and eventually we create an online income stream from. So Honestly, investing in this step is what's going to separate you from all of the other AI content creators out there. So what makes a meditation transformative? Of course, relaxation is one of the common outcomes that your audience is going to expect, and it can be transformational in that it allows one to relax and release tension from the day, which can in itself be beneficial enough. But when there's tons of similar meditation channels out there already, like yours, what is that thing that's going to separate them from you? What value can you bring that no one else has yet? Relaxation does regulate the nervous system, but transformation is what changes beliefs, perceptions, and behavior. And that is what we're always aiming for, at least what I'm always aiming for. So for my root chakra meditation, I've already established what my symbolic system will be. That's the chakra systems and Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? But the way in which I present that to my audience is within my meditation is by using reframing techniques from cognitive behavioral therapy, identity-based affirmations to help my target audience reframe those thought patterns that arise from their scarcity mindset or the survival narratives that they've learned over time. And I want to rewire any self-limiting beliefs that they might have about their ability to feel safe, secure, and balanced in life. Before we dive into the AI tools that we're going to use to help us create our voice, image, and videos for our meditation, I'm going to give you a quick overview of the framework that I use to write all my meditation and hypnosis scripts. So there are 4 parts: the pre-talk, the induction, the transformative core, and the termination. And together, this forms the PITT framework. So the pre-talk is much more important than most creators realize. On the surface, it's just setting the tone for your session, letting your audience know what to expect, whether to sit or lie down, maybe a brief breathing cue. But strategically, this is your hook. And if you've learned anything about making YouTube videos, the hook is very important. It determines whether someone stays for the entire session or leaves after just 20 seconds. And a well-written pre-talk makes the viewer feel seen before the transformative piece even begins. We want them to feel as if the session was made specifically for them and their pain point. So if you're on YouTube, the pre-talk is essentially your verbal thumbnail and title. Then we have the induction, and this is really the bridge between ordinary waking consciousness and getting someone in a receptive and relaxed state. You use techniques like body scans, progressive muscle relaxation, calming imagery to shift your listener's nervous system out of fight or flight mode. A lot of beginners tend to skip or rush this step, and what tends to happen is that the transformative piece that you're trying to instill in their minds lands on a tense and distracted mind, not a receptive and open one. And then we have the transformative core, or what I like to call the juice of the session, because this is where real change happens. It's not just a relaxation that you're providing, it's a genuine transformation in beliefs, perception, or emotional patterns. And this is exactly where your symbolic system lives. For example, in my root chakra meditation, this is where I'm going to deliver identity-based affirmations, cognitive reframing around scarcity, and images that speak to both the logical and the intuitive mind. And then last but not least, we have the termination. And this is how you bring your listener back to waking consciousness. You can anchor that transformative piece of the meditation and leave them feeling grounded and complete, instead of jarred and maybe disoriented. You can also keep the termination optional, kind of giving them the permission to drift off into sleep, and maybe you'd like to play looped affirmations or just music for the rest of the video. And just keep in mind, if you are making sleep meditations on YouTube, you will only get away with placing ads at the very beginning of the video. Otherwise, you're probably not going to get a lot of subscribers because your audience is going to be very frustrated with you. Imagine finally being able to fall asleep after a long day or a restless night, and then bam, you're hit with a really loud ad. So until you are monetized and can control ad placements, YouTube will place them randomly, unfortunately. But a great solution to that, especially if you're just starting out, is to offer your audience a free MP3 download or streaming link. And this is also a good way to collect emails for future products you might want to sell them. Now, you're probably wondering, how do I take my Symbolic system and create an actual meditation script from it? Well, you're going to take all the research that you've done, the podcast transcripts, your notes, books that you found on the theme that you've chosen, and you are going to ask your AI team to help you build a transformative, high-value script that your audience will love. So for my root chakra meditation, my target audience is dealing with things like financial insecurity and survival anxiety. They are in a constant state of hypervigilance and tension. So I can't just tell the AI to create any induction. I asked specifically for a self-led body scan because guiding an anxious and constantly hypervigilant person and telling them to just relax can actually cause them more pressure and more stress because it feels like it's forced. They might not be able to relax in the moment that you tell them to relax. And, they just feel like they're being rushed. So a self-led scan gives them back a sense of freedom and flexibility, autonomy, and it essentially becomes a therapeutic intervention. And I really need the AI to know that this isn't just a generic relaxation script. It needs to meet the listener exactly where they are. And of course, that was just my prompt for the chakra meditation I'm creating, but your prompt is probably going to look more like this. Using the principles we gathered, create a structured outline for a meditation script that includes the PITT framework, and then you kind of just insert what you want for your theme and what applies to your content. And just keep in mind that there are so many different meditation techniques that you can choose and incorporate into your script. Again, ask the team you've built to help you choose which ones are appropriate for your theme. And for this tutorial, I'm going to ask it to write me a 300 to 500 word guided meditation script incorporating these therapeutic elements we've discussed. This is why I said that it's important to use the same context window or the same conversation thread or chat that you've been using since the beginning of this tutorial. And this is going to produce my draft, the draft, guys, not the final product. And just so you know, a 300-word meditation can be turned into an hours-long meditation. A few hundred words can become a long session once you add pacing, pauses, repetition, pauses for breathing, and when you add the ambient music. Or you can write a 1,200 to 2,000 word script if you want it to be longer, more in-depth, and like a more immersive experience. All right, let me show you what this looks like in ChatGPT. I'm going to be using my prompt for the chakra meditation, again in the same chat that I used in layers 1 and 2. And as you can see, it's giving me an outline or an overview of all the elements I asked to be incorporated into the script. Now I'm going to use the second prompt, asking it to write our 300 to 500 word guided meditation. So far, the script writing process has been step 1, gathering your literature and doing your research, step 2, consolidating that information into a structured outline, and step 3, generating the first draft of the script. Now, step 4 involves human refinement. This is a step that makes everything else worth it, and it's the one step that AI cannot do for you. You're going to read the script out loud, all of it, because what reads fine on the screen can sound completely unnatural when spoken, and a guided meditation is a spoken experience. Now, when I look at what it generated, I can already tell that the pre-talk is way too long and it doesn't feel personal. Like I mentioned before, the pre-talk is our hook, And we really want to not only grab the viewer's attention, but make them feel welcomed. And this pre-talk so far seems kind of cold, like more informative, clinical, or like more like a presentation. I also don't want the wording to come off as demanding, so I need the language to be more permissive, giving the listener the option to experience the session in whichever way they want. The tone should also be more gentle. So I'm going to tell ChatGPT, I need you to rewrite the script in a more permissive, suggestive, and gentle tone, as if the narrator is talking to someone who they know on an intimate level, and I need it to be empathetic, and I want to make sure it's not generic. All right, so I noticed that the pre-talk is still too long, so I'm going to ask it to shorten it and make the induction or transformative piece a bit longer, because I don't want to lose my audience in the first minute of the video. Now I'm happy with what we've got so far, so I'm going to put it into a Word document. But, like I said, this is still just the draft. There are still some changes that I will personally and manually want to make. And what you're really doing in this step is looking out for a few things. Generic phrases that have lost all meaning from overuse, parts where the pacing feels rushed or where a pause would land better than more words, places where you use your own voice, your own way of explaining things, your personal metaphors, maybe your clinical or lived experience, replacing what the AI gave you. And I'm going to be 100% honest with you guys. For me, even in the age of AI, I still prefer writing 80% of my own scripts because I still don't think it can write better than what I envision. And honestly, AI can be very good at writing and imitating writing styles, but as a writer myself, I just can't seem to get it to write exactly in the style that I want. At least not yet anyway. So I mainly use AI to help me flesh out sentences or help me tie together some concepts within the script that I'm having trouble articulating. This is where your content stops being completely automated and starts being human-centered, because you are the creator, right? And AI is simply the instrument or the tool. All right, last but not least, once you are satisfied with your meditation script, ask ChatGPT to format it to be text-to-speech friendly for ElevenLabs voice generation. So I just want to bring this up real quick. If you look on YouTube, I'm sure you've seen a lot of spiritual, new age, even psychology, mindset channels that market their videos as something that can heal, cure, or help you manifest billions of dollars. And, you know, they might be getting a lot of views now and they might be monetized now. But apart from AI slop, YouTube is actually also cracking down on misleading content. And this definitely falls into the realm of misleading content. Especially if you don't use disclaimers and if you have clickbaity titles that are promising something that is unrealistic. Okay, and I just want to remind you that if you are not a professional, you need to stay within your scope of practice. That means if you have no experience working with clients, whether that's as a life coach, a therapist, if you have no clinical experience or credentials, let's say as a clinical hypnotherapist, don't be offering products as prescribed treatment or make false promises to your audience or your clients. All right, because this is a masterclass, it's kind of detailed and it's meant for beginners, it is kind of getting a bit long, so I'm going to be splitting it into two parts. You've just finished part one, and if you've been following along with your own project, you should have a solid, high-quality script in your hands now. Remember, this is the foundation, the actual transformational value of your content. This is what's going to keep you relevant, monetizable, and help you grow a loyal audience. In part two, we move into the production phase. This is probably the most fun part of creating meditation videos. I'm going to show you how to choose meditation-friendly voice clones in ElevenLabs, the exact prompting strategies for your music and soundscapes, and how to build those visuals without it looking like generic stock footage. Again, feel free to grab the free meta prompt I linked in the description. You can attach it to ChatGPT or whatever conversational AI you're using, and it will guide you through the creation of your niche, symbolic system, and script writing process. And if this was helpful to you, please like, comment, share, ask any questions you might have, and subscribe so that you don't miss out on the future tutorials that I will be posting on my channel that teach you how to create high-value content, transformational, human-centered content in the wellness space and in the age of AI. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in part 2.